Alan, the movie Plane is here. And we're ready for it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. It stars Gerard Butler as the Brody, the pilot of this plane. He's kind of been demoted because he got in a scuffle with a passenger, and basically, passenger was getting violent and he punched the passenger. Probably something it's just a natural instinct to do. And he's been demoted. So now he does these sort of, red eye flights on like paths less taken. And he's trying to get home to see his daughter for New Year's. So he has a sweet exchange with his daughter as he's getting on the plane. It's not a full flight. There's like 14 people on the flight, but a last minute addition to the flight. A fugitive who murdered someone.
Suspected murderer, yes.
Yes, suspected murderer. Louis Gaspar, played by Mike Coulter. Mike Coulter, of course, from Luke Cage. So there you go. He's on the flight, mysterious. He's in handcuffs, and they get on this flight. And of course, what happens? All this is in the trailer in the first act. But what I love about this is the fact that it takes its time. There's always a tension getting on a flight. Something could happen, right? I fly. I'm not afraid of flying, but I do have those thoughts in my head. And what I loved about this, because I do actually take a lot of red-eye flights. It's like my preference. It's like time travel. But you get on the flight, and there's just the sort of, you're getting settled in your seat, you're getting this, you got to get buckled. There's all the sort of rituals of doing that. There's you say hi to the flight attendants, and you're just getting ready for your flight. And there's not a nervousness, a tension, but we all kind of know, right? We put faith in that pilot. So I love that the movie spent time to kind of get to know every character's kind of a cliche. One guy's sort of this jerk. There's two girls on vacation. There's a married couple. There's just, a bunch of different types of people you would see on a flight. And of course, what happens is the flight goes through a storm and crash lands on and actually loses all power and is just coasting in the air, trying to find a place to land. They land on an island where there are criminals, warlords with weapons. How do they survive? How do they get rescued? Not shown in the trailer is a character named Scarsdale, played by Tony Goldwyn, who was the villain from Ghost. And Tony Goldwyn provides kind of a comic relief because he's with the airline and they're going through like press releases, write a press release for every single scenario. Everyone's dead. We saved them, every possible scenario of like what could happen. And he's like, okay, we're just going to send in a crack team to help them with weapons because they're in trouble. And therein lies Brody has to kind of step up. You realize he's got maybe a little bit of military knowledge, and then teams up with Michael Coulter's character to take out the bad guys and try to get
the criminal.
What's that?
He trusts the criminal to help save everybody.
He earns the trust of the criminal. There's a great. I mean, look, we're not talking about the story anymore. We're talking about there's a great scene. So Gerard Butler's character Brody has like some weapons, and he's just trying to go into town to find out, because what happens is all of the passengers get kidnapped. They get kidnapped by the warlord to be held for ransom. And this happens, and there's a lot of insurance usually pays for this, but they're well aware that you can, take some tourist who's naive, kidnap them, send videos back to their families saying, give me $1 million. And usually what they do is these warlords and criminals, they'll ask for just enough money because they know what the insurance will pay. And then that's enough to get your loved one back from their adventurous vacation. Anyways, so Gerard Butler goes to save the hostages that have been taken away in a bus. I'm not going to tell much more about the story beyond that. But
I mean, that's pretty much the trailer.
That's the trailer, but it's, I just want to emphasize how well done that opening scene is. The sort of getting on the plane and all the plane ritual stuff that they do is like, it's some comforting, but unsettling. And then what's really interesting is when Brody's character, Brody goes into, looking for the passengers. He comes across a phone. He's trying to make phone calls, and then some heavy comes and attacks him. And it's just one shot where he's fighting this guy with like fists, and just it's so good because the shot, it's like it just goes on, and you're like, they're just gonna like fight this out in one shot. They're not like gonna stage it, nothing. It's just brutal force, two men fighting to the death, using just their bare hands, and it's so
Yeah.
good.
No,
So
no
good.
staged, punching and fighting. It's just, it's a brawl basically, and it one shot and it feels real, feels
Yeah,
authentic.
a deadly brawl. So the bottom line on this, we sort of went over a bunch of the things. I like the brutality. I like the realness of this. I like that Gerard Butler, like, you forget what a good actor he can be, right? I mean, this is I mean, he's done some low budget, like he did that one that was not very good called Greenland, which I saw.
Yeah,
Uh
that was the disaster film.
Disaster film was not great. I don't think it was due to him. It was just like sort of bad spectacle film.
Yeah,
But
I
this
mean,
is
he's kind of
more
going down the route of Liam Neeson.
right
It,
in
these
a good way.
these mid budget thrillers, action thrillers. Yeah.
But this is like you're on the edge of your seat. And the other thing, I hate to even bring this up, the movie's an hour and 40 minutes. It's like 100 minutes, you're in, you're out, you're entertained. And there's some stuff, I don't want to ruin anything. The action at the end with the gunplay and stuff is like the audience clapped that I was with. It was great. So I really loved it, and I am
Yeah.
recommending Plane. I think I think it's going to be one of those things where it'll get sort of a mixed score from critics. It'll be
Mhm.
mixed, but audiences will really enjoy it. That's my prediction. Alan, what did you think of Plane?
Yeah, I was disappointed because I did not know the sexual preference of every character in the movie.
Oh,
And I just kept thinking, who are they into? Where, and it just kind of took me out of the movie at that point. It's uh, I wrote the review for it. I call it refreshing. It's just I miss these kind of movies. I miss the fact that except for the plane, the plane in the air sequences and the blood splatter, the entire movie is practical.
right.
And I miss that. I just miss not seeing a CG heavy film. I will say it checks every single box when it comes to action movies. You have a father who needs to come home to his daughter. You've got it's all about setting stages for fight scenes, for gun scenes. Brody here, he's Royal Air Force, former Royal Air Force. Let's see, Lewis here is I wasn't sure if a merchant marine or if he was a foreign legionnaire, but they all have these sudden skills that are quite useful right now. Executions, so just the movie is not remarkable in any way in terms of elevating itself above the action genre, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. And I think that's the whole point. We're not here to think, we're just here to strap into this roller coaster and ride it. And I enjoyed it a lot, and again, refreshing. I'm just glad to have to be able to see a movie like this in a theater.
Well, you gave it an 8 out of 10, which I think is
Yeah,
a very good review. It's like a 90s action movie.
yeah,
It checks all
absolutely.
the boxes of here's the boxes it checks. It checks the correct boxes, which is
Yeah.
entertain your audience. Entertain your
Hmm.
audience. Give your audience a good time, give your audience thrills, give your audience some real situation and real tension and things to be, concerned about, right? Like, I just it's the buildup is so good to that end because
Hmm.
you're just like there,
Yeah.
like you see, like, oh my god, like this is like this is great. Like it just gets by the and we cannot ruin it, but the audience clapped so many times at the end. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
and
just
I like the fact that it balanced off the action with this evil corporation who would rather avoid bad press than save these people.
Well, no,
And then
I like that. I like that aspect
yeah,
with Tony Goldwyn. He's sort of like the crisis manager, PR
yeah,
person who has like these sketchy connects of like, we're just gonna send in some guys to take care of this.
I
So,
know. Well,
and
at one
they
moment
bring
he's demanding press releases. At the second moment he's hiring mercenaries to save the passengers.
right, right, and then he sends them in not just with weapons, but with bags of cash. Like
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I've done this before." But so I like that aspect because it just I don't know, it just I love that stuff. And you're right about the like I mean there are like I think there were some same-sex couples in there, but none of them
maybe.
said, "Huh?"
Yeah. I
What?
mean,
No, but like
that's the thing is, are they friends or are they couples?
it doesn't matter.
I know
But there
exactly.
was no one who overt this is where I think Disney gets we had got this whole discussion about it too, because we were talking about like how gay and trans characters are like portrayed in like Disney movies as opposed to other films. Like, well,
Mhm.
when does it work? When does it not work? And when it doesn't work, it would be like those two girls who were on the flight. If they had said, I'm with my girlfriend and we're on our honeymoon,
Yeah.
and do you have a problem with that? Like, no, they're just two girls. Like they may in fact be
Yeah.
involved, they may not. It actually doesn't matter. And no one cares.
Yeah, they could have been there for their honeymoon.
But
You know.
it's
All right.
exactly. Also, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And the point is that like I think Disney has an obsession about not just putting those characters in, but letting you know. But the point is this movie doesn't do any of that. That was your
Yeah.
point when you were making that joke. And it's like you just don't need it, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
look, you are free to make up your what do they call that head canon, right? The head canon of like, well, maybe Brody has a boyfriend now, or maybe they get involved. It's like I think that's like sort of a weird thing that people do. But this is just straight up fun 90s action movie that you'll enjoy. And you gave it an
Yeah.
8 out of 10. I
Yeah.
recommend it. I don't know if I give it an 8 out of 10, but definitely
Yeah.
strong
But
recommend.
someone just C.D. Stein just mentioned. Why are we not seeing Mike Coulter in more things?
Yeah, no, he's really good. I don't know. The one thing is they kept his character kind of mysterious. I wish they had more with him.
Yeah, but
I
I
like
mean, one of the things I point out in my review is it's predictable. It's
yes.
you know everything, you know, uh, and so the mystery. You kind of know that this murderer is going to be the guy who saves everybody. Spoiler alert. But
Well,
the
I
thing
mean,
is, you know that anyone with common sense will know that how this movie is going to play out, and it does. It's just again, it's just the fact that it's fun to watch and it's a great ride that you're gonna forgive the fact that you're a little bit ahead of the movie as it goes along.
right. Well, I like Lewis and Brody's friendship in the movie. I think really works, and I just think, look, it's just pure fun.